On the 8th episode of Sinister, we talked about the Stouty murders, carried out primarily by Diane Stouty, but she had an accomplice. Crazily enough, her entire interrogation is online. And from the clips that I saw, it doesn't seem like Diane is ashamed of this. It almost seems as though it gives her power. But let's watch the full interrogation. If you haven't caught up on the story yet, I highly suggest you watching that episode of Sinister. We'll put it in the description if you want to check it out, and then follow up with the interrogation.
Well, again, Miss Dowdy, I appreciate you being willing to come down and speak with us. You're very helpful on your part.
I'm trying to be.
Obviously, like I told you at the house, we got the call about Sarah and her condition, but you say she's doing better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So I'll give you tidbits of the case throughout, but as a reminder, Sarah was not really doing that much better. She was in the hospital at the time in critical condition because her organs were failing. But Diane wants to downplay this, and she feels like people are going to trust her because she was a nurse. These are like profiles and jobs that people choose to try to make themselves seem innocent. I mean, if they're a killer, most people just want to be a nurse. But Diane was kind of orchestrating this image and really trying to play to it. Sarah was not okay.
She started feeling sick Saturday, just a mild headache.
This past Saturday?
Well, it's been a whole week.
Oh, so how did all that come about?
She started Saturday, she complained of a little headache, and her stomach was upset, and she threw up a couple of times. And that was it. And then her normal routine is she stays up all night and sleeps during the day. So I didn't think any about it.
This was the level of gaslighting that Diane was putting on Sarah Stouty. Antifreeze poisoning is horrendous. It affects you neurologically, you can't speak, you can't think straight, and that's just in the first 24 hours. By 72 hours, her organs had begun to shut down. She could not get out of bed. But this is how Diane presents her daughter's condition.
So on Saturday then, you said she was having some headaches and throwing up.
But it wasn't that bad. I mean, I've seen the flu bug worse.
Wow.
Okay.
So I didn't think that much about it.
And then you woke up Sunday morning.
And she was asleep.
Okay.
Even if Diane really believed that her daughter just had the flu or was kind of sick, this reaction is very strange because by this point, the doctors have told Diane that her daughter's organs were failing. And also, let us not forget, just months prior, because this all happened within the course of a year, Diane's husband had died of the exact same mysterious illness, and then her son did. So Diane's response is completely nonsensical.
Me and the other girls went to church, and we left her sleeping.
Okay.
And then I came home, and she was still sleeping, and then maybe a couple hours later, I went to check on her, and we just couldn't get her to respond or answer or anything.
Okay, so after you get home from church, you go in to check on her. She's still asleep, but she just will not respond. She's completely unresponsive.
Yeah.
Okay, and what time about was it you got home from church?
I want to say around 12:30.
Okay, and then sometime you say in the afternoon, it was still light out. Do you remember about what time it was that you took her to the ER?
Maybe 3-ish.
Okay.
Something like that.
Diane Stouty and her daughter were waiting for Sarah Stouty to be in such a critical condition that it was the point of no return. They didn't think that she was going to survive, and they were waiting to get right until the end to take her.
And what did they say at the hospital?
Basically, she was as sick could get.
But no idea what it was?
We have no clue. Still don't really have a clue. I mean, with her medical background, she's bipolar.
Okay.
My first thing is, did she get into something? Did she try to overdose or something?
There it is. The killer will always throw the victim under the bus.
When I got home from the ER, I checked her medicine, and she had plenty of pills left, so I don't think she OD'd her medicine.
So it didn't look like to you then that she would have overdosed?
No, and then I when I'm telling the ER folks, this is her history, and I know they were probably running every test under the sun on her, and they said nothing, they couldn't figure it out either.
Okay. If she wouldn't have, obviously because the pills were there, if she wouldn't have overdosed on pills, you know what else she might have?
It's really interesting that Diane mentions, well, they ran every test under the sun. She doesn't want them to test more. You have to run a very specific test for ethylene glycol. She does not want them to suspect anything, so she doesn't want them to run that test. And similarly, when her husband, Mark Stouty, died, she had his body cremated within the week that he was declared dead. She does not want anybody to be tested for ethylene glycol.
Anything else maybe besides pills or that she could do?
Well, if she got into like cleaners and stuff like that, but I don't know. I can't really picture her doing that.
She said if she got into cleaners.
Did she mention anything about, wanting to harm herself or
No.
nothing at all?
No.
Okay.
No. I know she had been not sleeping as good as she's been in the past, but other than that,
Just throwing
I
her
haven't
under
really
the
noticed
bus
much
left
change.
and right.
Okay.
but then, I don't know. It's so subtle sometimes you just never know what's going on.
Sure.
If you know that your daughter is in the hospital in critical condition or have an inkling that she might have tried to take her own life or she possibly did this to herself, would you be this relaxed right now? It does not add up. Not to mention, this was getting close to being the third death in the Stouty family.
You said you have other daughters. How many do you have?
I have 2 others.
How old are they?
22 and 11.
Would they know? Would Sarah have maybe said something to them about wanting to harm herself?
I asked
or-
them and they said they hadn't, nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. So you don't think it was pills? You thought maybe she could have gotten into some cleaners or something?
Yeah, because I know I have cleaners and I can't see her taking soap. Yeah.
What?
Could you even hurt yourself from soap or Lysol? Do you know? I'm not.
I have no clue.
No clue, okay.
I don't even.
She's trying to throw them off from probably testing for antifreeze.
I guess if you took enough, something would do something. But I've never. I don't know.
And as far as you know, they still don't know anything at the hospital?
No. Other than whatever happened really did a number on her.
What do you think?
I really don't know. I've been trying to rack my brains trying to figure out what happened.
I don't think that Diane is a very good liar. I don't think that she's super smart. I don't think that she has planned this out too much. I think that Diane has been hiding behind being the good nurse and the church organist for a while, so the community around her doesn't press her too hard. However, when pressed, this is the hand that she has.
I can't see her taking soap.
Like any investigator would keep probing through this. Now, I also want to remind you that in the course of this interrogation, Diane will make a full confession.
The only thing I'm thinking in my mind is, unless it's an autoimmune something or the other, but I've never heard of that causing, basically she had a total body collapse.
Okay.
All her organs were trying to fail, and it's like, I don't know of anything that would do all of that.
Yeah.
Does anyone else feel like she's bragging here? I don't know why. It just feels like she is, because you need to remember also that she poisoned her daughter's drinks every day for a while and was watching her deteriorate slowly while gaslighting her. This almost feels like she's proud of that, like, in a way. I don't know why. Okay, you guys get that too. She's like gloating. Yeah.
I keep thinking, what drug is there that would do that? Because it almost sounds like a drug overdose, but I can't think of what.
Also,
But her
does
brain-
anyone else notice Diane has thrown out more possible avenues for her daughter's sickness than like I've ever seen in interrogation? Maybe she drank Lysol. Well, I don't think she would cut her wrist or anything. Well, I mean, it might be this. We're 13 minutes in and she's, hey, try this road, try this road, try this road. I don't know. What could it be? Let's brainstorm together. Like, this is so weird.
Is she much of a drinker?
No.
What about drug user? Is she much of a drug user?
Nothing
that
that
you're
I
aware
know
of?
of. See, that makes me question. It's like, well, did she do something? And if she did, I'd sure as heck like to know what, so I could prevent it again. I can't go through this again.
What do you mean? Can't
This
go
has
through
been
this
rough.
again. Oh, you mean this whole ordeal? Okay, yeah.
It's rough.
They know her.
I bet, especially since she
husband
almost
said too.
I know,
died.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because from talking with the hospital, it sounds like they're doing a bunch of tests, and they're even sending some tests off to labs elsewhere. They mentioned the Mayo Clinic
Oh, wow.
and possibly other places. Just the nature of this. Do you think there's going to be anything suspicious that they find in all these tests that they're going to be
Okay,
doing?
the first
I
push.
have no clue.
Okay.
Because I don't even know what to look for.
What do you mean?
Well,
She just implied that it wasn't a catch-all test. It was like a specific test. She said, I wouldn't even know what to look for. It's one of those little things. It's a little slip. It's a little slip.
What do you mean?
well, I mean, if they're looking for some kind of a chemical that she may have taken, I can't think of
You just said...
to even know what tests they're doing.
Because from
Does that
my
make sense?
well, I see from my understanding, it sounds like they're going to run a whole bunch of various chemical type tests, possibly,
Oh my God.
and just
Oh
a whole
my
bunch of
God.
other tests to see what was going on.
Ethylene glycol.
If it would come back that there was something in there like that, how would you explain that?
She's fidgeting.
I don't know. Depends. I don't know. Depends on what. If something did show up, I'd have to figure out what it is.
She has never been fucking pressed like this before. She has been hiding behind the widow, the church lady, the nurse, and nobody's pressed her. She is not equipped to handle this, and she's gonna fold like a fucking lawn chair. And that's what I'm here for. Where's the gavel? Where's the gavel, Stanley?
Do you know much about the autopsy process?
A little bit.
Okay. What did they tell you about Sean's autopsy?
That he had a congenital kidney defect. They found quite a bit of brain damage.
Oh, brain damage, just like your daughter who's in the hospital right now has. Also, friendly reminder, if you never checked out the Sinister episode, which is totally okay, Diane is, I'm getting heated, such a piece of fucking shit when her son, Sean Stouty, passed away, who was literally only 26 years old. It was her oldest child, her son that she's had the longest, her first fucking child. When Sean passed away, she did not have a ceremony for him. She did not publish an obituary for him. She did not even say his name when the neighbors asked who died. Afterwards, she had her son's body cremated in less than a week as well. What a...
They had found where he'd had his initial stroke, and then there was evidence of seizures.
Okay. Because we've spoken with the medical examiner about that. And I guess when they first did it, they really didn't look too much into if there was any types of chemicals or anything at all in his system or anything else like that. But when we did talk to them, they were able to tell us that they, just like with all autopsies, if you're familiar with those, they take tissue samples and hair samples and all kinds of other samples, and they basically keep them for a while. And fortunately, they still have a bunch of his stuff, and so they're gonna do a bunch of tests on his stuff as well.
They're testing Sean's
so
stuff.
If his stuff were to come back with anything like that, something similar to maybe what Sarah's might come back with, how would you explain that?
How would you explain that, Diane?
I don't know.
Oh, here it is, boys, the push. Sometimes in interrogations, they do a big push to see how they react, and then they draw back. This guy seems like he's going for the push.
What do you think it might be?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Think there could be anything maybe malicious or suspicious involved with that?
I can't think of that,
Would you be surprised if something like that came back?
Yeah,
Would you?
I think so. I think I would be surprised.
Okay.
I mean,
Why would you
I
be
never,
surprised?
well, I never
You
anticipated
either would be or you wouldn't, sister. Come on.
anything showing up,
Did you watch Sinister yet? Because I'm about to drop a spoiler here, but it's only because it's in my heart right now and I'm heated. Somebody asked earlier, did she do it? Why did she do it? Well, we'll get to more of why she did it. Part of the reason why she did it was because Diane didn't have any fucking friends because she was a weirdo. So instead, she decided to try to be best friends with her daughter. And the way that she bonded with her daughter was by killing the whole fucking family. That's it. If Diane had gotten up and connected with her family, hung out with a neighbor, hung out with other people from the church, bro, you need friends. We need friends. Like human beings, we are inherently lonely. And if you don't make an effort to try to connect with people in your community, your coworker, your nothing, you will end up leaning on your children. And you are supposed to be a parent, not besties. You guys aren't fucking besties. You're not sisters. You're not homies. You're supposed to be a parent. Okay.
Now, after Sarah's condition, and there was no autopsy done on Mark, as we know, but maybe from some samples that were taken initially, not the autopsy, but just because I know Mark had some substance on his face and things like that from samples there. Is there any reason that from samples taken?
So what the interrogator knows. He knows she's involved. What he's doing right now is basically saying, hey, we're going to continue to test Sarah. We're going to also test some of Sean's things. And then we're going to test the substance that was around Mark's mouth. They claimed that Mark died of natural causes, but oddly enough, he had a ring of blood around his mouth after he died. So whether they can actually extract any information from these little things that they have left because the bodies of Sean and Mark were cremated, he's scaring Diane right now by saying, we're going to test all 3 of them. So is there anything you want to say right now?
At the time of these, that there may be some kind of correlation or some kind of link, anything that may be similar in those?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No,
And if there was?
I wouldn't know.
I understand you wouldn't know, but if there was, though, something similar amongst them,
I have no clue.
what was Mark's life insurance policy like?
$20,000? Sorry.
He only had 20,000.
Sorry.
That was it.
Sorry.
Okay. How about Sean?
I was supposed to let it play
Sean
out.
had 15.
What about Sarah?
Sarah only has 15, I believe.
Sorry.
Rachel?
Sorry, help me, sorry, excuse me. Why do you know the exact cost behind everybody's life insurance policy? And why does everyone have a life insurance policy? Please explain. On paper, I need to know.
And you were able to get the money from Mark and Sean's, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
It took a while, but
So, yeah, but you
finally.
right. And what did you do with that money?
Bought a house.
With Mark's, we were able to move into a better neighborhood.
Right. How about Sean's?
With Sean's, I haven't even, right now it's still in savings because I haven't quite figured out what to do yet
Okay.
with some of it.
What were your plans?
Some things I'm thinking more of just paying off bills.
Okay.
Bro, she is spilling. Look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I thought we would be skipping around this interrogation a little bit more, but this is crazy. I think we're about to get up to the full admission. Oh my God, I didn't know she opened up this hard.
What would be your explanation if there's something in their samples that comes back as being, as if there is some kind of chemical or something that shouldn't be there of that nature?
I really don't know. I know Sean and Sarah were very close.
What does that mean?
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, they talked a lot together.
They live together and they're brother and fucking sister. They're in a 900 square foot house. Of course they talk all the time. Why do I feel like she's trying to possibly weave a story of like, oh, maybe they took something together? Shut the fuck up, Diane. Nobody's gonna believe that. Also, sorry if anybody's new here. This is just how I am. Subscribe or leave.
What would that have to do with some kind of substance, though, that shouldn't be there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Really, I don't know.
Okay. What, you wouldn't have any kind of explanation for that? Okay.
Ooh, he's getting closer. Closer.
Do you think they're going to come back with anything like that?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
And if they do?
And if they do, Diane.
I'd have no clue.
And you don't have any explanation as to why that would be?
No.
This is making me so nervous. I am 2 seconds away from gnawing on jute rope right now. Gnawing. Got it right here.
Oftentimes, there's cases that come up that are similar to this, where people are harmed, by other people, and there's always a reason. If somebody was to harm,
Oh.
if their deaths were because of something like that, if somebody was to harm them, why do you think that would be? What would be the reason for somebody to want to harm them?
I don't know about my kids, but Mark had a lot of weird friends. Well, I don't know if I'd call them friends. Acquaintances.
Wow. Wow.
He would, they were into drugs and all that, but that wouldn't surprise me. But as far as my kids, I can't imagine.
Did you ever have any suspicion with Mark's death?
Not really. I wouldn't call it suspicion. I was not surprised.
I would. Who wouldn't be surprised if their husband fucking died in like less than a week? Part of the investigation, I'm pretty sure they said that Diane was experimenting with poisoning him over the course of a couple months. So he was sick for a while, but in her world, if she wasn't involved, Mark got sick in like a week and just died. What do you mean you were expecting it?
He would binge drink and
What was your guys' marriage like?
how can I say this? We were still married, but it was not what you call a good marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing him under the bus.
So I'm guessing then, just briefly, thought he wasn't the best husband?
Probably not.
Okay.
Not to society, no.
What do you mean by that, not to society?
Well,
Prediction, BOZE. She's gonna say something that makes her look good and Mark looks bad.
he was running around and he would drink and smoke pot and
Throwing him under the bus.
So he wasn't a very good guy, is what you're saying?
yeah. I know, I've had friends who told me I should kick him out, but I couldn't find myself kicking him out.
Mark was horrible to me. He was so bad. He was running around, he was drinking, he was cheating, he was out late at night, and everyone told me to leave him. But I, Diane, decided to stay because I'm a good woman. I'm an organist at the local church. I'm a nurse for an insurance company, and I'm just a good guy. You see, these people, they all do the same stuff every time.
Why not?
You nasty.
I
You
was
killer.
trying to kill himself.
And even though things were bad and he wasn't a good husband and you said he wasn't good for society, that you didn't want him to kill himself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It really rubs me the wrong way, too, that her way of throwing him under the bus is by saying he's bipolar. Bitch, y'all were married for 27 years, okay? Y'all were married for 27 years. Bipolar people need to be supported. You know what the deal is. You know that he's having highs and lows. Why is this used as such like a negative for her to just throw him under the bus?
Even with
you're
all
so
his flaws, I
smart.
still loved him.
You think you're so smart.
Okay. And Sean, any reason for anybody to want to harm Sean?
Can't think of that.
Well, Miss Al, there's been some things that have come up. We've been investigating this for a while.
Oh, guys,
Okay.
push number 2.
And there's been some things that have come up during the investigation. So there's some questions that need to be answered about that. And I'm hoping that we can get an explanation, because I know that you, from looking into this stuff and looking into you, I know that you are that you're a God-fearing woman, you're strong in the church, very, very dedicated to the church. You're somebody that knows, about the right thing and about God's way. I'm a believer myself, so
This is the interrogation tactic, the come to Jesus.
sometimes in life, there's things that happen or things that go on that may not, good people don't normally always do, but there's reasons for sometimes people to slip up a little bit, make a mistake every now and then. You would agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we are with this situation now where some stuff's been brought to our attention. And I think you're a very good lady
Okay.
with the right
I
intentions,
try.
right? Yeah, you try.
I tried.
We got a lot of tactics, a lot of interrogation tactics all wrapped up into one. The come to Jesus, the maybe somebody made a mistake. I know you're not a bad person, Diane. You're a good person. A little appeal to the ego, that I'm going to believe you no matter what you say. He's wrapping it right up here.
I think you know why we're here talking.
Oh!
And now's your chance to kind of help fill in, because there still are some questions about why things may have happened and that nature. And this is your opportunity, because, people are going to be looking for some answers and they're going to want to know why. And we're going to want to be able to go back to them and say, this is it, she's a good person, but give them some kind of explanation as to why, because I know that there's a reason, maybe why some of this stuff did happen.
And as far as Sarah, I don't know.
Wait, what? Is this it? A lot of people are mentioning that her arms are crossed or like she's hugging herself for self-soothing. I don't know about all that, but what I do notice is that personally, I think that Diane's body language has barely changed since the beginning of the video. Even when he scoots in, she doesn't do much. So the only thing I pick up from it is I think that's a testament to like how numb she is. Some people fidget a lot more in the room, and I think she's just very numbed out. She barely moves.
Let's talk about it, because I think you probably want to talk about it. You need to talk about it because when people do things, it's always good to ask for forgiveness. You know that, And oftentimes the best way to ask for forgiveness is to talk about it and give an explanation as to why things happen.
As far as Sarah's a difficult child to deal with.
I understand.
And I've been kind of putting pressure on her to, you know, you need to get out and get a job. Your college bills are coming due. I don't want to pay for them. You know, after all, you get tired of doing everything for your kids, and it's like, you need to step up and do it.
This might be a very harsh criticism, but, you know, Mark Stouty had a lot of like odd jobs, and he kind of went for the stay-at-home dad and then went and followed his passions when he turned 60 and he joined the band. Diane just kind of worked for the church and then worked from home loosely as an insurance nurse. They didn't model this like go-getter career mentality for their kids. They told them to go to school, and then they racked up a bunch of debt, and they didn't give them the survival skills to get out of the house. And then she judged her very harshly for this. I don't love that. Sean Stouty was also 26, and he was still into the home up until his death. Sarah had her degree, and I believe she was 24 at the time. Like, she's working on it. She's trying. But her being mad at the kids when Diane ain't do shit to help them out other than tell them to go to college and they went into a bunch of debt, it's annoying.
Diane, here's the deal. I'm here to try to help you out with all this, because I know...
Because I need all the help I can get.
I understand. I understand. I really do. And I know that this is... I know because you're a good person, I know that this is tearing you up, that this is bothering you. I truly understand that. But I'm here to help you out, because I know that you don't want, because of you being a good person, you don't want everybody out here, when this all comes out, you don't want them to think of you as a bad, evil type person. Because I know that that's not how you are. But that's why I'm here to try to help you out, to give you the opportunity to say, because I think I know why. And it's for some of the reasons we've already talked about. I think it's just pushed to the brink. Can't take it anymore. You know, you're doing all this stuff for everybody. You're working all the time. You're paying the bills. You're doing this. You're doing that. You can't get help. No jobs. You got all this other stuff. All these other burdens coming upon you, where all of us get to a point where we just say, you know, enough is enough. And I understand that. But you gotta help me figure out. You gotta tell me this stuff. You gotta tell me why. That way we can get to that point. That's why we can get it out there that, you know what, this isn't just about somebody that's bad and evil. You want people to know that that's not what it is. You do know that. You do. I know you're afraid of going to jail, but that you shouldn't even be thinking about that right now.
I know. But that's how my mind works.
I understand, but let's put that out of your mind, because you shouldn't even be thinking about that. I understand you're afraid to go to jail. We're not going to even think about that, because that's got nothing to do with it. Now is your chance to tell us why, and to show some remorse and ask for forgiveness, and that way I can go to these other people and say, yeah, she made some mistakes, and that was it. So tell me about it, Diane.
Tell me about it. Ooh.
There's a lot of arguments. And to put it really short and sweet, I knew they were drinking antifreeze. And I was so mad at them, I didn't want to take them down. I delayed.
And why'd you delay?
Because I was mad.
And that would just eliminate those problems, wouldn't it? They wouldn't be there to nag you, to bug you, to talk bad to you.
She still didn't firmly say, I was giving them the antifreeze. Is she trying to act like this was like a cult ceremony? Or is she... I need more direct.
That would just be a problem that's gone.
Yeah. I guess you could say that, but,
Right. But Diane,
problems never go away.
Right. How'd you know they were drinking antifreeze, Diane?
They told me.
Shut up. See? No.
Diane, I want you to understand this, okay? I want you to understand where we're at this point.
No. This is interesting. The interrogator up until this point, he's using a lot of tactics we've seen before. swirling them all into one. It's working. It's whittling her down. But after she says they were drinking antifreeze and I knew they were, but I didn't want to do anything. If I was the interrogator, that would be so outlandish. I would not know what to say next. I'm very curious what he actually says. This guy's pretty quick on his feet.
I 110% understand that you're scared. But Diane, right now is not the time to tell me things that aren't true.
Ooh.
Because it all comes back to, again, when other people, not me, but when other people that are going to see this, look at this and go, did she come in and tell the truth? Or did she lie, and lie?
Okay, that was good. That was
Okay,
good.
you have to understand there's going to be a lot of people that look at this and you don't want them to see all these lies. You and I both know why you knew they were drinking antifreeze, and you need to tell me about that. And lying about it, Diane, will not help you. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that.
How I knew they were drinking it? Because I saw them drinking it.
What? Yeah, you did. After you handed them the Gatorade.
You need to tell me the whole truth, Diane. And you know we're looking at each other eye to eye right now. You know that I know. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I wouldn't have showed up on your door today. Because when we've been investigating for a while.
I want to remind you that Diane was so malicious that she went out of her way to go online to find an antifreeze that didn't have a bittering agent in it. All of these murders happened between 2012 and 2013, but right in the beginning of 2012, every antifreeze manufacturer had voluntarily agreed to add in a bittering agent to antifreeze because it had a sweet taste to it. Animals were dying from eating the antifreeze, and it was just kind of like a, hey, can you add a bittering agent to it? And they all said, okay, cool. Diane knew this, so she went out of her way to find an old original formula antifreeze so that she could put it in their Gatorade and their Coca-Cola.
Diane, you knew that they were drinking antifreeze. You knew that. They didn't. We both know that.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You knew, Diane, that they were drinking antifreeze because you were giving it to them.
I don't know why this like almost makes me cry. It's a crazy moment.
I didn't know what else to do. I really didn't.
Diane claims that the pressure of being the sole breadwinner and, you know, feeling like she was resentful of all of her kids and Mark Stouty and she was paying all the bills was the reason why she murdered her own family. Breaking news, you dumb bitch. If you're the breadwinner, get a divorce. Some people can't get divorces because they don't make enough money to live on their own or support their children, or they can't afford the legal stuff. Get a divorce and leave. And guess what? They're still alive. All of the people are still alive. The people that had years and years and years of life left would all still be here. Like, yo.
Were you just like we talked, were you just at the breaking point?
Yeah. I didn't know what else to do.
Had you been giving them the antifreeze before they finally got, like before Sean passed and before Sarah got to the point that she was?
Maybe a couple of days.
And what were you putting it in?
Coca-Cola.
What else?
I think that was it.
That is an actual photo from the Stouty house of the Coca-Cola in the garage. And right in front of this, like over to the left, is the container of antifreeze.
How much would you put in?
Just a little bit.
And why just a little bit?
I didn't want to hurt them.
I don't even have any commentary on that. None.
When they weren't passing right away, did you eventually start to give them more and more?
I may have.
She slowly but surely coming out.
How often? Was this every day? Or how many times a day, I guess I should say?
Once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah.
And you say it started out with a couple tablespoons, but then when it wasn't killing them, then it moved on to just a little bit more and more.
Maybe, I don't remember.
How long ago did you start with Sarah to give her the antifreeze?
Maybe a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Wow. She was poisoning Sarah for weeks. She just said it. Look, if you guys watch my content a lot, I talk about people treating you in manipulative ways a lot. I don't throw the term gaslighting around too often. I think it gets thrown around on fucking Twitter and Instagram and social media way, way, way too often, okay? But Diane was textbook gaslighting her daughter while poisoning her and watching her die slowly. She used her authority as a nurse to convince her daughter that it was all in her head and she was just making it up and she would be fine, all while her organs and brain were literally failing. And that's the part that freaks me out a lot. She sat in that home saying, "Mom, I'm sick. Mom, I need help." And her mom told her that it was all in her head.
And it just got started. You said you hated his guts and
I just
you
couldn't take it
couldn't take it anymore. And so you did some research on the internet about antifreeze poisoning. You were aware of, the taste and things of that nature, like you said. Then you ordered some antifreeze, and then you gave it to him for a few days before it finally started to kick in and work. Okay. And then with Sean, you said we talked about he just became such a pest and bothering you, always interfering, things of that nature. And you said it took a couple days, right? Before it started to kick in on him. And then with Sarah, you talked about, she wasn't getting a job, and then she had these student loans, and you were going to end up having to pay for them, and she wasn't working, and you said you guys argued a lot. Was there anything else more, or is that pretty much?
That's pretty much.
And you just had it with her as well. Okay, and then you said it took about 4 days before it started to work on her. Okay. And you didn't use anything, just antifreeze. There's nothing else at all. Okay.
That's a confession. In that interrogation, Diane doesn't give up one of the major pieces of this entire puzzle. Her daughter, Rachel Stoudy, was involved. Now, in Rachel's initial interrogation, she claimed that she had nothing to do with it and her mom was basically a saint. But after they had this information, they were able to push Rachel much, much more. But I'll have to save her interrogation for a rainy day.